You always seem to forget one when you try to plan stuff super far in advance. So I apologize for the change on the meeting, but appreciate you guys all being here today. Just, before we get started with anything really, just always remind people that, this is supposed to be a place where everybody can feel comfortable talking about the things that they want to talk about, and perspectives are encouraged and respected, and we are recording. So just want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable in this space, and so that we can have the most productive meeting as possible. And we have some important stuff to do today, and I'm excited to get rolling on it. So I'm not going to do too much chit chat. Okay, so first off, just again, welcome everybody. We got some new people just came in. Again, welcome to our new faculty, Amaya, and where's Amanda down there? Okay, we're super excited to have you guys, and looking forward to the future of our department as we try to keep growing and doing what we can. So we appreciate you guys, and are glad to see you here at the meeting today. Does anybody have any announcements they'd like to make? Anything upcoming or that you'd like us to know about? Everybody's still thinking like, how am I going to get another cup of coffee in the middle of this meeting? Okay. Yeah, we're redoing our kitchen right now, and so I'm up in the music studio, and we have no kitchen, so I got to go really far to get coffee. So I'm really going to try to make this cup last. No announcements on our end, just that, and I do have some chair announcements that I'll just include in my chair's report. But if there's no other announcements from anybody, let's go ahead and move forward to our dean's report. And so, Dean Markovich, are you there? You are right there. Go ahead. You got the floor, buddy.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. Don't really have that much to report on. We had a good golf tournament. We had 136 players. So we kind of got back. Another piece of getting back to full opening was trying to do a little bit of fundraising. So we had a good golf tournament. We don't have the final numbers on that yet, but it was first time that since I've been here that we sold out the golf tournament. So that was exciting to see that people really wanted to get back out and support the student athletes and stuff like that. Lenny and I think, put the finishing touches on the schedule. So we're just waiting to get our FTF numbers back from Sherry, and then he's going to share it with everybody to make sure that we didn't miss anything before it goes live. So keep a lookout for that in the next couple of days to get a draft 1.75. I think Lenny was calling it. So thanks for all that work, Lenny. It was a lot of moving stuff around and trying to piece stuff together from basically a year and a half ago to get our schedule right. So that was important. Bond updates, things are running smooth. We're opening the West bleachers today at the Bailey Stadium this weekend on Saturday. So we'll actually have our first fans in that side of the stadium. The building's going well. That's going up. The Bailey building's going well, and it should be done on time in March. And then baseball, soccer, they just laid the turf at soccer, so that looks good out there. And baseball is getting some details worked out. I really appreciate the coaches being involved with every step of the way. It makes it a lot simpler on me when I was trying to juggle all that stuff. But I think we're getting some quality stuff out of all this, and quality facilities out of that. So the baseball, soccer, and softball should be done in middle of December, and they're going to release it to us before practice starts in January. So that's exciting news. Soccer field, we're not going to open for a while. We put the grass down a little late. It's a little cold out, so we're going to wait until probably April to open up the field so the grass can really grow some thick roots in there. So we're excited about that, but it should be done by the end of December as well. The swimming pool's on track. That's a March kickoff, so we'll hopefully open that up in March. We just had some Towser meetings yesterday. We had a full slate of Towser meetings. Things are a little bit delayed on that because of the DSA wanting us to do a full seismic upgrade to that building, as you can imagine. So we're a little bit delayed on that, but we're still moving along and getting all the details. We'll have more meetings on Towser in the next few weeks to kind of finalize some details with inside the rooms. But you know, that building's gonna be great, but it's gonna take probably another 6 months than what we originally. So we're looking at not moving out of that until January of 23, I think, or that Christmas break after fall instead of in the summer. So we'll be in Towser for one more fall, next fall, in the building still. As you know, the biggest thing is I'm gonna basically go over a little bit of stuff with you guys as far as what Monday comes. You probably already know all this stuff, but I want to, if I could find my notes, I want to make sure that we at least I mentioned it. So for those of you that are coming to campus and meeting on campus with students, starting on Monday, the 18th, each student that comes to campus, and I'm going to send this out to all of our faculty at some point today, but each student that comes to campus on Monday will have to check in at a safety monitor station. So the one in Santa Rosa that is around the CAD facility is going to be outside of my office in front of Quinn. So all students, whether you're going straight to Bailey for practice or straight to Hale for a class, they need to come down to Quinn and check in. Walk down to Quinn and check in. Okay, so that's one of the things that we definitely want to make sure that we let our students know is, hey, no matter where you're going, if you're coming to the CAD facilities, you got to go to Quinn and check in. Okay. So they're going to put a bunch of arrows and stanchions up and things like that to do that. So everybody will come to the safety monitor and check in, show that they've either been vaccinated or that they have been tested weekly for COVID. Okay, so that's what they need to show when the students come. The students have been told they need to download the app called Cleared 4. All right, so it's just a self-check app that asks you, do you have any symptoms, all those things. And then after you do it the first day, the second day is pretty easy. It's like one button to push and it gets you cleared. And that's where they can upload their vaccination, their testing status into the app. When the students show the safety monitor, their Cleared 4 access pass. So the Cleared 4 gives them a gray pass, at least it does for me when I was on the trial group. It gives them a gray pass. Students will be given a wristband and color for the day. Okay. Your students must have their appropriate wristband to be allowed into class. Please note, students must also continue to scan the QR codes in the building. So everybody should have a wristband. Everybody should have a QR code. Okay. Faculty and staff do not need to check in at these stations, but they do need to upload their stuff. Okay. So we have to upload our COVID cards or our tests. Okay. And I'm going to be sending out a map where ours are, and I'm going to be giving everybody more information. I'm just kind of in the middle of doing this in the EADA report, and I think I'm getting a cargo van I've been writing a grant for a cargo van. And what else have I been doing? The golf tournament stuff, and then I don't know. There's and the most important thing, our faculty staffing committee report is due today. So anyways, I make a long story longer. I'm basically going to be sending some out today with all the information. With if you come across a kid that or a student that doesn't want to check in or doesn't have the wristband, what to do, who to call. We do not want to put our faculty in the middle of any issue with students. So I'll be sending out all this information to you later today. So please keep a lookout on it. Look out for today. And then my last piece before questions is faculty staffing is due today. Finishing up the report on the recommendation from the committee. We have our 5 positions that we have put in our put in our PRPP, and we are going to be fighting for the head volleyball coach and generalist position. So we are putting our eggs in one basket, thinking that we want to push hard at this, knowing that there's going to be some spots. So we're going to be fighting for that one position. The meetings are October 29th, and Lenny and I will be presenting at the meeting on the 29th. So that's my report in case you have any questions.
I just have a comment, Matt, in regards to the West Side Stadium that's going to be open this weekend.
Yeah.
I went up into the press box yesterday, and this is something we can talk about later, but I just want to say it so it's on your radar. I'll be quick. It looked like they were installing sound equipment in there. So like for this weekend, there's actually equipment sitting in the middle of the floor that looks like it's receivers and, you know, music type stuff or sound stuff. So just a heads up, I didn't know if you knew that was happening, because as when we talked the other day, we were thinking it wasn't going to be happening over there. But I do remember saying what we would eventually want to do is one of those press boxes would be for our announcer and scorekeeper, and one would be for our coaches, and then everybody else would be on the other side, and that would allow us to have the chains on the other sideline. But for the rest of this year, I understand that's not going to be ready.
Yeah, that is so basically what happened was when they put the field in, they cut the speaker wires that connect both sides of the stadium, so they don't know where they cut them. So they had to put in a new receiver on that side so they could connect the speaker wires. So all the wiring's done and all that stuff. But there was that box needs to be put in to make sure that both sides of the speakers are connected without a delay from the announcer. So at some point, yeah, we'll be able to do that. I just don't know if it'll be ready for the scores and all that stuff in the public address announcer to move over yet. But that receiver will be ready by Saturday for the speakers.
Cool. Yeah, they were out there working on them the other day.
Cool.
That was my only question. Oh, and then with athletics and the wristbands, I'm assuming they wear those at practice.
Yep.
While they're practicing.
Yep. It's a 1-day wristband. They'll be able to get a new one every day, but they do need to wear it no matter what they're doing. I mean, in the pool or out at practice, yeah, they do need to wear it. And I'm not sure, there's a lot of communication going around, and maybe Stanley knows or Cassandra's on this, about if faculty have an issue with checking the wristbands and stuff like that. I haven't dug into that information yet. I've been hearing that maybe it's a negotiated thing, but I mean, for the safety of you being on campus, you should check the wristbands. I mean, and we'll give you some direction on what to do if you come across students without wristbands.
Any other questions for Matt, you guys? All right, moving along to the chair's report. And first order of business from my perspective is the schedule. And Matt touched on it a little bit. One of the really big challenges for us is last spring is when COVID really hit us, and we canceled like 7 FTEF out of our schedule. And so that's 7 full-time equivalent faculty members. So that's a lot of classes. And a lot of people were allowed to go low in the spring and not be penalized for it. And so we're trying to get out of a big, huge hole. And the reality is, to get back to even close to that, we have to add a whole bunch of FTEF back in. So we have targets that we have to hit, but this is a really challenging schedule. A lot of the full-timers in our department have a historically low load. And so in addition to just being 100%, we're trying to make progress towards getting people back to where they don't have a negative balance. So bear with us. That's why we have a proof 1.75 before we call it proof 2, because we're going to try to get the thing as clean as possible. We still have to have the breaks in between classes, which really makes, when you add those classes back in, it really makes the weight room problematic. So, some of you that have said that you don't mind teaching classes online, you're going to have some weight training. You may have a weight training class online. And so if you're wondering, like, why is this one online and why is that one not online? If you're totally opposed to teaching online or teaching in person, let me know. And I'll do the best I can to try to make it work, but it's like a jigsaw puzzle where the puzzle pieces change constantly. And so to schedule the weight room is the most problematic facility for sure, because we have back-to-back classes there all day. So let me know. I'm waiting for the schedule to come back to me, and then I'm gonna go through and over the weekend, and then I'm gonna try to send something out to you guys on Monday that would show what your schedule is exactly as of right now. And then that allows us maybe 1 or 2 days to look at it and then make one more adjustment before we have to turn it in. But I need a really quick response from you guys on that. So I'm going to crank it out this weekend, and because it takes some time to take it from a PD. I know this sounds crazy that we can't do this, but to get it the way where you can really see what your load is and how it's the math and all that stuff. I need to transfer about 200 pages from PDF to Excel to get it the right way, at least the way that I can manipulate it and use it the way I need to use it. So it takes a little bit of time to do that, but then the sooner you guys can get back to me, that's really helpful. Schedule. One thing that I would like to note in the meeting, and Matt, I've heard reports from some of our faculty that teach in facilities that nobody's coming in to clean in between. Like they don't see anybody all day. And I'm just wondering, you know, we're being held to this standard and we're asked to be doing all these things. And we do them because that's what our department does. And then when you look around, it's really frustrating to see like these things that are supposed to be being done are not being done. So it leads me to say like, well, which rules are important to follow? You know, do we really need to have an hour break in between every weight room class if nobody's going in to clean? So it's a little frustrating. So I don't know if other departments are experiencing that, but from a pure safety standpoint for the students and faculty, classrooms are supposed to be cleaned and they're not being cleaned. So I just want to forward that on to you, Matt. And so that's on your radar. I've heard more than one faculty member that teach in a specific facility most of the day say they don't see anybody going in there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know we talked about this last month as well. And yeah, I mean, they're not staffed to come in between each class. That's just not going to happen. I think some of it is, I forget what we called it last month, but the airflow, I think giving time for the airflow to go through. And I know I'm not using the right word on that. So jump in if you know the right word, but that's basically what it is. They want to get in there and clean as much as they can and hit the bathrooms and stuff like that. And I don't know if they are or not, but it's a lot about the airflow. The bottom line is, it's if you don't put it in the schedule as an hour break, it's going to get kicked back from Sherry and Jane. So that's above my pay grade. That's more of a negotiated type thing that AFA would have to take up with Jane and Kate and that negotiating team, because we could say that they're not coming in and we don't need the break, but it's going to get kicked back in the scheduling office. So
yeah, the reason I bring that up mostly is because of the issues that we're having in the weight room of having to schedule that hour break, and also our teams that lift in the weight room, at scheduled times. It really makes it hard to get every team in there. So I don't know if maybe there's some way that in those off hours, some of our teams may be able to utilize that space. I don't know, but just something to throw out there, because those would be DHR type classes anyway. And that would be really helpful because Jill has a weight training specific class for her team. Lacey has one that she would prefer. People, everyone kind of has that hour that they want their athletes in there, and it's really hard to get them in there, so some of them are going to be online, and I'm trying to make all the sport specific ones in person as much as I can. But I don't know if we could get some guidance on that, if there's how much airflow is needed,
There's Lenny, when you ask this, I think I've been in an AFA open session and asking other people well, no custodians are coming through, right? And a lot of other departments are like, no, I see them in there all the time. So I think yeah. I know that's not, cleaning or not, but then do we need the hour break or not? I know there's two different issues, but yeah, Matt, I thought you were going to say the hour break was the word you were looking for was performative, but I guess you're going to have something too. But it is I went and looked up because I was going to go after the hour break and be like, we don't need it. Fomite transmission on surfaces isn't important anymore. And it actually is. So I'd still, if it's not being cleaned, in the weight room, there's opportunities to, have people wipe stuff down. I would probably still be doing that because it could live on surfaces during that hour break and then infect people. So.
All right. Thank you.
And I thanks for that information, Monica, about other faculty and buildings, because I'm so dialed into our stuff. I'm not even talking to anybody else about other buildings. So it's good to know that they are seeing it and we're not. So I will definitely bring that forward to Menge and to Javier, who are in charge of the custodial staff, because that's not right. We're probably the most populated building at this point, I think. or buildings. So that's great information. I appreciate it. I'll definitely bring that forward today.
Matt, we should maybe take a, since we have people that teach in all those facilities here, before you blow them up, it could be that maybe those people that have mentioned this to me are just not there at the times when they're doing stuff. So like, has anybody seen anybody going in the weight room in between classes? Anybody seen anybody in 905, 951?
I know we don't talk about Petaluma, but Petaluma is, no, I haven't seen a single person step in the building. We don't even have a check-in person since the start
How
of the
about the
semester.
pool, Jill? We have people cleaning the pool locker rooms in between.
Yeah, like once or twice a week. And yeah, once a week for sure, maybe twice that I see. But I don't see any in the weight room at all.
Well, and I don't think the weight room, that's why we put all the spray bottles and rags in there to help keep it clean. They're cleaning the weight room every night, but they're not coming in there all day cleaning the weight room. That's why we're washing all those towels and all day long.
Then we should be able to put classes in there back to back. And I also know that APE got an exemption on that. So maybe we can talk to them about athletics.
They got an exemption on what, the hour break?
They've got back-to-back classes in the pool.
They didn't get an exemption. They're technically scheduled it to where they're supposed to be doing some stuff outside the pool and
Okay.
for 20 minutes. And then when they add up all their time, it's confusing, but they add up all the time, it's an hour break, but they're technically supposed to be an hour break inside the water, correct? And
Let's figure out that recipe then.
Yeah. So
Why we have an hour break inside a chlorinated pool, I have no idea. That doesn't make any scientific sense, but okay.
I hate to say it, but it feels like we're getting the short end of the stick on this thing. We're not getting our shit cleaned. We got to have breaks.
We are.
And it's really hurting us. So yeah, anything you could do, Matt, on that would be helpful. I mean, either one way or the other, we're getting hit on both sides. And it's making it really hard to schedule stuff. I know also the Student Athlete Success Center, nobody's been in there as far as we know. And that's a small room. So anyway, just a heads up on that one. I know you guys have those conversations at your level. And thank you for everybody it sounds like none of our facilities are being washed in between classes. So hopefully we'll see something on that, some traction on that. Okay, any questions you guys for me? The only other thing I have to talk about is curriculum. Some people have had some issues trying to, and I did too. It's like you do this once a year or once a semester, you forget certain things. And it took me about a half an hour to figure out how to be able to edit my course. Sometimes, so some of you have emailed me, and just a real quick thing, if you haven't tried this yet, and I emailed you back, Jill and Lacey. So if you right click, instead of change the basic info, if that's not available, oftentimes the create new version is. And when you go into that, and then I noticed in the one class I did, the numbers were wrong. So like it says 0 to 49, and it needs to be a number of this, and the number that it isn't jiving with the numbers that it's supposed to be. Don't ask me how I figured this out. I just started trying to outsmart the system, and I think I just got lucky. But if you put a number in there that works and then save it and then go back in, it lets you change the number back to the number it's supposed to be, and then you can edit everything. So if you create a new version and then you're getting stuck on that one page where it says invalid number, put a number in there that's between those numbers that it says it has to be, save it, reopen the course, right click again, and then go to change basic info, and it'll let you change it right back to the number that it's supposed to be, and then it'll allow you to edit the course. At least it did for me. That was just I'm sure that's not the most, who knows, maybe I just got lucky. But so you could try that, you guys, because the goal was for everybody to have their curriculum stuff done before today, so we could really focus the majority of the meeting on our SLOs. and SLO assessments. And Stanley and Dante have been meeting regularly to have this training ready for us. And so I'm looking forward to, I know they're going to do a great job. So do you guys have any questions for me from the chair's report or anything chair related before we move into our next big chunk of the meeting, which is our SLO and SLO assessments? All right. Well, Stanley and Gitano, I'm going to make you guys co-hosts. Let's see here. Co-host. Yes. And Dante. There he is. Okay, you guys both should be co-hosts now, if that's possible to have two. But so you guys have the floor.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Dante's going to lead us through how to get on the form. This is unusual doing it on Zoom instead of being in a big room together, but we'll get it done. So Lenny sent out on behalf of Dante and I the Excel sheet that we worked on. We basically just put it back, into the families, K team, K individual, K fit, KNES, K aqua, K combatives, APE, athletics, etc. Highlighted the ones that are at 0%. So we want to, the overall goal is to move towards 100%, not necessarily to be at 100%, but because it's accreditation year, as you all know, that's our goal, to really just crank some out. And, maybe in November, Lenny will, if you have time, we could do it one more time to really get as much done this semester as possible. So the goal was for everyone in advance to look at those courses that are highlighted in yellow that you teach or have taught recently, so that, when we go through the list, what I was thinking we'd do, again, it's a little bit difficult for, at least for me, to do organizationally while we're all on Zoom, but we'll do the best we can. But maybe Dante can be sharing his screen and Lenny was going to call him out. And we'll just want to attach names to those courses that everyone's willing to do. Also a reminder that adjuncts can get paid through the AFA contract. They do have to be approved. And so Matt's helping me with that, me and Dante with that, where we're gonna, if it's a course that's taught both by contract faculty and an adjunct, the adjunct cannot do it. They won't get paid, only the contract faculty. But if it's a course that just an adjunct teaches, if the adjunct is willing to, obviously you're not required to do SLOs, but we're hoping, those of you who want to help CAD get better in our percentages, especially for accreditation, we'd love that. But adjuncts can get paid for 3 hours once it's approved. So after this morning, when we have the list of classes that are only taught by adjunct in any of the families, I'll send that to Matt. Matt has to get it approved by Dr. Jane, and then those people can get paid, and it's 3 hours. So that's what that looks like. So Dante, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, and maybe do you want to pull the Excel sheet up first, or how do you want to do that? You're muted, Dante. There you are.
I was looking for that Excel. I can't find that.
The reason I don't want to pull mine up is because I'm going to be typing in when Lenny's reading them off of names, and I don't want those two going at the same time.
Max, if you could pull that up, because you forwarded.
I have it here, but how does that work on Zoom?
But so
I have it right here. You want me to send it to you real quick?
sure.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So the biggest piece of this is making it as painless as possible for everybody, and very fluid in us being able to knock out of these as many as possible. First thing I want to make sure you understand that it's very simple. It's not a tough process. So in respect to your time, I'm just going to jump right into an example. We have the different classes that are up on that list that we'll be showing here in a second. And it really is a basic setup that lets you know if it's already been done too, which is great. Now the most recent assessment that they want, or the furthest assessment that they want us to work on is anything that's 6 years and older. So obviously, the more up to date we are, the better it looks for us when it comes to our review. With that being said, we want to work in a fashion that is the furthest out compared to the most recent. Last night, let me get this from Stanley here real quick. And I'll get
And I was just going to tag on to you, Dante, about that, is that when we looked at the columns, I'm sure you all saw that if you looked at the Excel, unfortunately, it doesn't give, for example, if there's 2 courses that both are at 0%, it doesn't give the dates of which one, because like Dante said, we want to get the ones furthest back, but it doesn't give those dates. So we're just going with all the 0%, even though we did, we could have maybe put those in order. Yeah, Lenny, please.
In regards to, like, I was looking at the list, and certain classes, like, for example, K Team 1.1, which is I think touch football or something like that. It's a class we've almost never offered. It's, we don't necessarily want to deactivate it, but what do we do for those types of courses? Because I noticed there's a handful of them on there.
I had the same question. I guess Dante's going to have to answer that. And I saw 2 categories. One, a course that we've taught before, like Dan's already turned theirs in, and I have that list. Thank you for that, Lenny. Is like there's a class that's been taught before, but it hasn't been taught in a long time, and we don't want to deactivate it. But there's also, I saw classes that we've never taught before, like I'm forgetting the student success classes. So both of those categories. Dante, do you have a feeling on that?
Not a direct, clear answer as far as whether or not we should go back and add a review, assessment review. Again, 2 years ago when I was in this committee that we reviewed all this, those assessment review for the classes that have not been taught, that are on schedule or are on our catalog, and then classes that haven't been taught in a long time. Like obviously the classes that haven't been taught in a long time, we just say, okay, we review at that point. If they were taught 5 years ago, then whoever taught that, or in this case, maybe Lenny, you could wear the teacher's hat for those classes to say, we're currently up to date. I would imagine that if we put an up to date that has not been taught next number of years, obviously I don't know if that throws a red flag, but I think from a WASC standpoint, I don't know how they would review that, if they would say, well, how come this is so out to date? How come this is even on your catalog, and so on. So I don't have the answer on that side of it. But if it's something that was taught 5 years ago and we have some reference to curriculum that was taught, then I think we should assess it and put a review on it. So I'm not sure if that helps or not. Okay, so I'll share the screen here and see all the stuff we got. Okay, so this is the catalog, the Excel sheet that shows all the varying classes in need of assessment review. Now, what you'll see is, I'm trying to navigate the pictures of the Zoom pictures here so I can see everything. So if we look on this screen, we'll see, for instance, K-Team. The assessment, the SLOs that are available are to review for K-Team 2.1. There are 2, 0 have been assessed, obviously priority in being assessed. As we move down, I think the majority that are showing here, okay, good example, K-Team 4.1, there's 3 SLOs that are listed for that. All 3 have been assessed. We're at 100%, obviously don't need to be reviewed. So the 0% are the ones we want to work at today when we're breaking into our own work categories. But as you notice, for instance, I teach in K-Fit, but I don't teach in the combatives now. So I'm not really going to look at this tab at all. Obviously, the email that was sent out, letting people, I believe that was sent out, right, Karen, Stanley, the different lists for people, correct? Okay, so for instance, so, Kinahan, this would be your territory. You're going to be mostly involved with that. Obviously, Jill and so on. Cassandra knocked a bunch out that she had done. So I do think we're going to make really quick progress of this. Now, I'm sure this all makes sense. So I'm going to move on to an example of how to do this. What I would like you to do while we're doing this is follow along and open up as I bring you into this. Open up your category. For instance, if you're teaching combatives, when we go to the screen that asks me what classes you're going to do, you will pick K Combative 5.2. For me, I'm going to pick a K Fit and do that as an example. Okay, and I'll show you some different details that will come up. So again, if you're in dance, you would do dance, the swim, and so on. That makes sense for everybody, I'm sure. Thumbs up. Cool. All right, let's roll. Let me stop share here and go into another screen. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to work you into, can everybody see this one too?
Yes.
Flipped over. Okay, so this one says forms and reports. Do we see that?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. So now in order to, the best way to get to this screen is to go to just Google SRJC slows, and you will find that will bring you to this screen here. I'm trying to find my mouse. Okay, so student learning outcomes assessment. So that should bring you there. I'll give you. All right. Now, obviously, you can go down to forms and reports, but we'll walk through it the long way. Okay. Then you have obviously this list. If you're curious about what this is and how it goes about, this is showing the accreditation cycle. Obviously, 21, 22, we're in it. And the overall percentage of assessments completed for the campus is at 30%. Obviously not the best. So we're at, I believe, 45, 50, I think is where we're at. And today we're going to knock this out, and I'll tell you, we're going to be a shining star of the campus when it comes to the SLOS assessment, and another feather in our cap, taking care of business as usual. Okay, so then now we're going to go up to SLOS assessment form. It's going to make you go through your check-in, and it's going to bring you up to this window here. Yeah, go ahead, Wax.
Just a heads up to everybody, you can also access this exact same screen through your faculty portal. It's in one of the drop-down boxes on, when you get your menu. I just did one while Dante was talking just to see if it worked. So
Awesome.
we're one more.
Thank you, Lenny.
All right, I did one last night too, just to kind of get back and refresh. So now we're gonna select mode of instruction. And again, I'm trying to navigate with this. Now, this is going to depend on what you're doing with your class. And what I don't like about this is they should do this after you use the class, actually the class that you select as opposed to prior. But majority of this stuff is going to be hybrid, majority on campus. I think the details in this aren't that big of a deal when it comes to the assessment. This has changed since I was in the committee 2 years ago, obviously. When in doubt, on campus is fine. I've been clicking on hybrid, majority on campus, since that's a majority where I'm at. Select a cluster. So hopefully everybody's following along here. Obviously we're CAD. Select department. All right, if you're APE, in this case will be CAD. select discipline. Okay, so I'm going to go to K-Fit. Actually, I should have went back there, but okay, so let's go back to that. And this is where all those tabs that are on your Excel worksheet are listed. Okay, select course. Okay, I'm going to go to 8.2. All right, I did 8.0 last night, but what's cool about this, and I think it's the slow that's going to be selected, in this case, 1. And when what's great about this is you see this slow has not been assessed, which is great because this will, it also will tell you if it's been assessed in the last 2 months, 5 months, 6 months, and they're pretty up to date on this stuff. So whoever's on the other end of it is staying on top of it. Assessment semester. All right. So this could be whenever you last taught it. Obviously, what's great about this, if you scroll down, it goes all the way back to, so when like fall 95. So if you, in that question in regards to a class we have not taught in a long time, we have access to updating that. And I think that will be sufficient for WASC as they look into it. So in this case, I'll go summer 2020. Please feel free to ask a question if needed. Okay, so
Dante, I had a
Yes.
clarification.
Please.
Maybe other people have this question. In terms of the semester taught, what if it's a course that hasn't been taught for, this pandemic has changed, everything's different. So I'm just wondering, like, what if it hasn't been taught since the pandemic? Like, we tried to teach it and it got canceled, didn't fill, whatever, and you don't remember. Just guess the best you can for the semester before the pandemic.
Go ahead.
Lenny, thanks.
Yeah, this, so if let's say we have a course that hasn't been offered in 6 years, but I taught it, and so I go and I do the assessment for that. Is the assessment basically going to be time stamped today, or is it going to be time stamped the last time it was offered? Because then I'm just curious, because then if it, with the 6-year cycle, what group does it go into?
Yeah, that I don't know.
Okay.
How they'll group that. I don't believe that they're I think for the most part they're lumping these up into checking when it's been the most recent. If everything was for all of us 6 years out, I think that we would get dinged for that. Obviously, I think the more updated we are when it comes to our SLOS assessment is when it comes to the WASC evaluation, as they spit out our numbers per se, is going to be how we're evaluated in this portion will be definitely how up to date. In these phases, from what I understand, when they're going through the WASC, and someone may have a better description of this, but is they will tell what is up to par, what needs work, and what is way out of sync, and that's the way WASC kind of works. So if we're somewhat current, meaning we're going to have obviously peaks and valleys of what is current compared to others. That's how we'll be evaluated. So I'm not sure if that helps you at all.
Can I ask a stupid question? Here's my stupid question. So the email that Lenny sent us, where we had classes assigned to us to go through and do some updates on, is that a different task that we need to do as well as this? They're two separate things? Okay, so this is a completely different thing. And are you going to assign us classes to do this on, or we just go through like everything we've ever taught? Like
what, Jill, if I can answer that, at least start to, please, is that because Dante and I we went over and over on how we should do this. Should we put names in advance? And with Lenny's guidance too, since he's done this for so long with curriculum in general, we thought we didn't want it to take all the time, but we thought we would send it out in advance, have everybody go, okay, these are the 4 courses that I've taught for the last few years. I'll do those that are highlighted in yellow. And then as we go through them, we would like to put a name on it in front of everyone, because if two people that are in this meeting today both teach the same class and you're both doing it, we talked to Robert Holcomb, who's kind of been giving us some guidance, and he's like, no, you're way better off. Don't have two faculty do the same one if you're trying to get more numbers. So we're looking at like quantity. So that's what we're hoping. Lenny.
So we're gonna like divvy it up right now when you're done with this process.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. I just didn't want to like double down. I was getting confused. Okay. Thank you.
Lenny, what were you going to say, please?
So one thing I would like to say, Stanley, is that, you know, to me, the original goal of student learning outcome assessments is to improve the quality of teaching, so that we're meeting our students' learning objectives. And it's frustrating when we have administrators. I mean, the ideal scenario for evaluating a student learning outcome is to have every single teacher that teaches that class evaluate the learning assessment or the learning outcome. And it's like we're just checking boxes in some ways to meet some goal. And I just philosophically, I just wanted to say that because I think we're just, you know, the right way. And so what I would say to everybody is if you want to do one that's already been done, do it. It just gives more information and it makes us better. And, you know, if you go into to evaluate a learning outcome or assess it, it's helpful sometimes to see like maybe this isn't working for this faculty member, whoever that was, or they're not meeting that goal. And it just gives you some more perspective on the class. I mean, if we're really sticking to what the goal of this is, I think we should, even though it's more work, we should be encouraged to have more than one faculty member do the same course. I know we want to get as many as we can done, and I'm all in for that, but just philosophically, I wanted to just say that, like, don't shy away from one. If you have an issue that's happening in a class, but those outcomes have already been assessed, add the information. Okay. It's just going to help us in the long run. So that's it.
And when it comes
Thanks
to
for that. I was just going to say, I couldn't agree more. And Dante and I agree. We've talked about this, and it is frustrating because we kind of feel like we're put in this situation where we're being asked to get towards 100%, especially for accreditation. And if we do two faculty doing one course and we don't get as many, you know, we don't get towards 100% as much as we would if only we did one faculty per course, that they're not going to see that. And that's what's frustrating. I couldn't agree more. It's like the philosophy of why, you know, discipline expertise. And of course we should be assessing versus we have a goal to meet. So I get that. I totally understand.
It's frustrating because when you see across campus how these are viewed and how poorly we are in terms of completing them across campus, it's like we're doing the bare minimum for accreditation to make sure that we're teaching the most effective way possible.
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize too what the WASC committees are made of, and just to give some perspective, you know, the team that comes in are educators, so at every level. So there's administrators, there's classroom teachers and professors. So you know, they understand that the hoops that kind of people jump through in order to achieve a specific goal of 100%, and it behooves us to be in a situation to go the extra distance and do multi-assessments of the same class. That shows good teaching, and that is a big deal for us when it comes to the overall assessment, so or review. So it is a feather in our cap in doing that. It's not something that we're going to get dinged. I don't think we should worry about if that's going to take more time. It is a better way to go about it. So, okay. So what I went through, that I had done here is I kind of created some boilerplate things that are easy for you to follow. Now, what gets into the assessment evaluation is if we look at the question, or the SLO in this case, a single one, demonstrate the independent intermediate use of weight room equipment and weight training techniques to safely and successfully engage the in an intermediate level of weight training program, right? They can't even read the whole thing here, but so, and obviously very wordy, slow, maybe could have been put into 2 slows, probably, maybe, but it is what it is. Now, in demonstrating this, okay, this is, in this case for weight training, I always say physical, I use physical demonstrations as a primary use of evaluating whether someone can do an exercise or not. Obviously, this completely gets into your classroom and how you run your class, and however you do it is you're the professional, so that's your choice to meet the goal or the slow that we have in front of us. So these are just some different ways, methods. When they say method, they're talking about your actual use of assessment. So different types would be quiz, oral exam, physical demonstration, individual or team demonstration, final, observation, study session, group project, PowerPoint, etc. Okay, so in this case, I would put physical demonstration of a group of exercises to demonstrate whether or not they use proper technique and safety. Okay, if I was whatever language we wanted to use in that one. Okay, that would be what I would. For instance, I did the one last night, and it had to do with safely using equipment. It was for 8.0, safely using equipment. So I said physical demonstration, showing and demonstrating they understand the proper technique used for a group or set of exercises. You can go on to describe those. You don't necessarily need to. So you can go as in-depth in this as you want to. You don't have to go through and say every single exercise. If you did a list, that would be fine as well. So you're not gonna, that does not matter.
Hey, Dante?
Yes.
Dante, I was seeing if I could control the screen while you were talking, because I'm also a co-host, but I can't.
No.
It doesn't work. But I'm just thinking as a suggestion, maybe we could copy after you go over it, copy and put it in the chat.
Yep.
So folks can access it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And then the criteria would then be, how do you go about evaluating or grading the specific method that you put forward. Now, they use an example of 80% of students correctly answer C. Okay, this would be a specific multiple choice question to demonstrate in math whether or not they knew what a variable X was. Okay, so there's all these different criteria we go. I think for the most part, in K-FIT, the majority of our evaluations are physical demonstrations and then evaluating technique. Okay, so in this case, X% actual pass. Okay, 2 pass, but X% pass, meaning for me in my class, 100% have to pass in order for us to move forward in the process. So when it came to a physical demonstration, I said criteria: 100% show proper technique and show safe demonstration of safety when doing this specific exercise. Okay, so that would be my criteria. Now you could also say project completion, final grade. So if someone gets an A in your class, they received that A because they showed the completion of the slow or the task. They were competent in the task that was trying to be completed. Okay, final grade scale system. If I say, well, they need a 7 out of 10 on this specific task. Attendance, right? We all use attendance as a form of grading, right? Say, well, this is you have to be here in order to pass this class, especially obviously our in-person classes. If you're doing the online version, I did an online weight training. That was we had weekly assignments that had to be turned in. So you would say, well, 70%, a grade of 70% or greater achieves the SLO in the specific task. Follow me? We're all good? Okay. So again, I will copy and paste that. Now, how is the assessment being administered? We got that. Was the criteria met? Now, if it was, we click yes, it was met through the specific task that was a method that we used because they met this specific criteria. We say yes. Now, and where you would answer no would be if everybody, you go through and you teach a power clean and not a single person can do it. And it's okay that you say no here. I think it's be clear that it doesn't reflect on you being a bad teacher. It doesn't reflect on you being a bad coach. It just reflects that it actually it's just shows that you're being reflective and you're looking at and we're assessing what you've done. We've all have things that we do that don't work out, and that's good to share in this process. So, assessment follow-up details. Here's just some basic language that I feel it would be fitting here. The assessment was appropriate to evaluate the task and goals that were set. Simple, to the point, okay? The assessment needed adjustment to effectively evaluate the task that was set. So again, and then you would list what adjustments were needed, or the assessment met the standards that have been set, but could have been improved by adding these components. I think this is a really important one. This is an ultimate growth piece for us as educators, coaches, is we may be effective, but that doesn't mean we can't be better, right? And I think that's a part that for myself as a coach, as a teacher, I'm always trying to say, oh, that's good. I know I can make it better. I know there's maybe a group that's that I can approach this differently, or I can add to make this a richer experience for the students I'm teaching. They may all do the PowerPoint and get the assignment right, but how about let's add a component of presentation now. They all send it to me, but let's have them present it in front of the class to develop another skill for themselves. That's the piece that are we creating these different levels of learning, right? And are we helping them grow, or are we just kind of going through the motions? And I think that's a piece that this number 3, I think, is a really important part to the follow-up. Okay. Now, again, you don't have to add any of this follow-up details. If you put that first one, you're good to go. You slide down to the bottom and you would then submit. Okay. One cool thing about this, you'll receive an email letting you know you've submitted it. And then the next time you show up if you click on the same one, it will say this assessment or this SLO was assessed today at 10:15. Okay, so that's a lot of talking, probably too much, but hopefully you guys are off and rolling here. Any questions on that? No.
So Dante, I have a question. So
Sure.
I've been following along. I've opened up K-Aqua 1.1 just as an example. I haven't taught that for a really long time, but I just opened it up. So I can see where I can select a course, select a SLO, select a semester, and then I get down into assessment and I see all the boxes, but all this stuff that you have written in your boxes, where did you get that stuff from? Did you?
Oh, I just created it. I just made it, and I'm putting it in the chat right now. So I actually just went through and created my own language that I felt was appropriate, and from what I had learned through the first time through this.
So are you like copying and pasting the from like the course outline, the approved course outline, or
this info that I put in here?
yeah.
No, these were just different types of methods and criteria and language that we learned and
Okay.
also just that I would use. I mean, it's just.
So we should use. We're gonna use your your language here and and paste this into our assessment
So
classes?
totally up to you. Yeah, no, I don't want you to use this is suggestions. If you want to use it, you absolutely can.
Okay.
And if you notice on, obviously number 1 is pretty straightforward. But like 2 and 3, those are things that you can add to those, right? Needed adjustment to effectively evaluate the task that was set. The adjustment that would be added would be this. So on and so forth. That would be your own language. And then obviously the third one, the assessment met the standards that have been set, but could be improved by adding these components A, B, C, and D.
Okay. So we would get, you're just giving those as example phrases that we could use. We wouldn't use all 3 of those. We would say, yeah, it met it, or no, it didn't, or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. So you're not gonna put all 3 of those on there.
Okay, I get it. I was so confused because I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't
sorry.
see any of that. I don't know where he got that. I was like,
Sorry,
what am
I
missing?
apologize.
I
That's
appreciate
lack
you
of
doing
my
all that
part.
work. It's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just put that all in the chat. Again, we should be able to cut and paste on if you'd like in the chat. And again, I know we're all very different. Bill, I've been in your class, in your K-Fit classes, and your early stages are awesome, and how you work through with PVC pipe and all your different when you're doing with power cleans, and super thorough. And so for you, and when it comes to methods, right, these physical demonstrations, I think would be a majority of where your evaluations are coming from. I think for the most part, that's all of us. Obviously, we're doing K-team, and I'm teaching a proper linebacker stance. Those are demonstrations, right? Now, one thing to note, you can put in there how you model, right? Through modeling, then follow up. In the one assessment that I said on the follow up, I said anybody that was, since I have 100% in order for our whole class to move forward, we then revisit the technique and then reevaluate. So that was a big part of it. Revisit, model, reevaluate, revisit, model, reevaluate till we get to that 100% in order for us to move forward. I can't teach a back squat and have anybody, and then in a class of 30 and 8 out of 10 get it right and the other 2 don't, and then I'm going to move on. So when we're working out, I can't see everybody, and someone's doing the well, we know they do that anyways, but at least I have the knowledge that, okay, we know what's right, we know what's wrong. So
Hey, Dante, I think Lenny had something he wanted to contribute.
okay, sorry, I can't see everybody here. So
Yep.
go ahead.
Make sure I'm not muted here. Okay.
You're good.
I was just actually doing some assessments because I'm a little more familiar with the process. So I've been just knocking some out while you've been talking. But just to kind of get to what Jill was saying. So Jill, I went through and I've been doing athletics classes, and it is for me, it's observation, demonstration, tests, video analysis, and it's pretty much the same things. And I was able to cut and paste that whole list, and then just if you need to, you could always add to it or delete stuff from that. But that's pretty much what it's the same methods for almost all the ATHL classes. It's a demonstration, it's a video analysis, and so it goes really fast. I've just done like 5 of them in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, I was just making sure. I think I was just confusing kind of when we edit courses, new versions, or update new versions of courses, we're like really pulling things directly out of the course outline and making sure things match. And so I didn't know where this language was coming from. I thought so knowing that, yeah, this is like perfect. I'm going to use this template and make whatever adjustment we need. So this is super helpful.
And just so you know, most of our classes, I think, with the exception of maybe the kines classes, every one of our classes has like, demonstration as part of it. So that one could just be in literally every single one, because all of our classes are movement based.
Yep.
Hey,
Go
one,
ahead.
I just wanted, Lenny, I remember you asked a question earlier, and I can't remember what the decision was on your question, but you were asking about if a class hasn't been taught for a couple semesters and you do the assessment today. So I just did KFIT 30.1, and I think I last taught that before the pandemic. So I just picked fall 19, and then I got the thing back saying this class was last assessed fall 19 of 29, of today of 2019, even though it was assessed today. Is that how it's supposed to work?
That was my question, because if we're going to do ones that are over 6 years old, they're going to still look 6 years old from the last time we did them.
Yeah, and so I mean, well, so I'm new to this. Dante's been teaching me this last month, and so I put fall 19 because that's the last time I remember teaching it, and I haven't taught it since then. But then the thing is going to probably show on the template, on the master template, that it was fall 19, even though it was done today.
No,
Does that
it'll
matter?
show, right? No, it's going to show that you've assessed it up to date. I mean,
Well, only if you put that date. So Stanley, I think what you did was in that drop down box where the years are,
Yep.
you picked the year you last taught it. I think that's supposed to be the semester you assess it. And then it would show an up to date.
Oh, totally different. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
that's
Okay.
a good point. And
Super helpful.
let's double check that, right?
Well, she just did, and
It
that's
says,
what
yeah,
it
it
did.
says assessment semester, right? Exactly, right. So that's going to make it current regardless of when you taught it, right?
And it also says, so the one I picked, it says in blue below it, it says this SLO has not yet been assessed.
Right.
So if someone has recently assessed it, I think it's going to tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. No, it'll update. Like on this one I'm doing right now, if I go back in to do the same one, it will say assessed 10/15/2021. Yeah. So yeah, so this would be wrong what I did here, right? This should be, for me, should be fall 2021.
And if you just stay like in that screen, so like you could knock out, it'll just keep you
Yeah,
in
it'll
fall,
just keep
fall 21. It keeps reloading fall 21 every time. So you don't have to check that semester ever, really, because we're doing them fall 21.
Yeah, exactly. So in hopes to get as much done as we can here, I'm not sure what our format past this, Wags. Are we just
If I could suggest one thing, what I think would be helpful is go through, and I don't know if it's going to take too much time, but really with everyone in the room,
right.
but Lenny's going to be the main person that knows this, going through the courses that are not taught by contract faculty, that are only taught by adjuncts, because ultimately we need to get those approved, and then I guess send an email out to the adjuncts. Does anyone want to get paid and do some slows? So I don't know if we don't need to do that today, that's fine also, but I was trying to, hopefully we can get that done. Lenny, you have any feeling about that? Do you think it would not be effective use of our time, and we could do that by email, or what would you suggest?
I have a question for you. What
Yes.
happens if there's not a full-timer that teaches it, or the full-timer that teaches it is or that taught it is no longer with us, and then the adjunct is unable to do it? There's got to be some kind of mechanism or process for somebody to assess outcomes that maybe didn't even teach the course.
Such a great question. I don't know the answer. Dante, do you, or is that a question we have to ask Robert Holcomb?
I would think, that's a question that can be clarification, but I would think that our department chairs, our department leads, and maybe in that department. So for instance, if it's, the K Aqua, then I would imagine Jill, whether she's taught it or not, has the authority to assess that. That would be silly if that wasn't the case.
Well, that's what I'm going to assume, just so you know. So if my name shows up for like 150 assessments, hopefully no one's
You
gonna,
know, you are
gonna,
the authority.
no one's going to call me and say, well, you didn't teach that class, right?
Go,
That's
Lenny.
really what I'm asking.
Woo! You rock it, Lenny.
I'm not going to say yes or no on that.
The question is, will the WASC committee or someone in scheduling say you didn't teach that class?
Well,
Question.
In the last
WASC
half
is-
hour, I think I've done all the alpha ones that were highlighted in yellow.
WASC
I
is,
say, just go, man, just go.
and I'm not sure, has anybody ever sat in front of a WASC board themselves? I have when I was in high school teaching.
Yeah, they sting like mad dogs, man. They hurt.
Yeah. So, has anybody in here? I'm just looking through, see if anybody raises their hand. But
I did it in high school too, but not here.
yeah. So it's just, from what I understand, it's the same exact format, because I asked this question and because I was curious. It's like, 4-year, 2-year versus a high school. And it's all the same format. And this committee is just built of different people that are appropriate for the level at which is being evaluated. So they ask those questions, right? We're supposed to build these portfolios that where you actually put curriculum, and I think that is different than the 2-year, 4-year. But they'll ask the questions, say, okay, we noticed. They'll go through and they'll say, well, we noticed that, Lenny Wagner, you've done a large portion of these, and have you taught all these classes? And they'll ask those questions, and what they're looking for are thoughtful answers. They're not looking to catch anybody breaking the rules. What they're trying to do is saying, are you thoughtfully going through a process that is steeped in positive educational experience, right? And are you doing it in good faith? Is it, or are you just jumping through hoops? And that's part of the process, because they've been in our shoes. They know what it is to go through these evaluations, and they do realize that there's real educating, right? Real authentic perspective, and they're privy to that. And I think they just want to hear thoughtful answers when they do ask you those questions. Because they bring in students, they bring in administrators, they bring in every level that they bring in to really make an evaluation whether or not the accreditation is appropriate, right? And so I guess we'll just let it roll here, and people who are actually, I'm just going to pass it off to Wags at this point, because I think I've extinguished my my base.
Lenny, you're muted.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So I think the easiest way to go, because literally, you guys, in the last 15 minutes, I've done like 10 of these. I think everybody should just go to the classes that they teach. And even if they've already been done, go through the probably, it'll take you 5 minutes to do your classes that you teach this fall. And then let's see what's left after everybody does that. And if there's more than one person that does weight training or yoga, then all good. I think rather than spend time assigning, I think just let everybody navigate through the different tabs and take the time. Right now we have an hour and 15 minutes still of our meeting time. I think every single person in the room should be able to get all the classes they teach right now knocked out, and especially the ones that are in yellow.
And is there a way, Lenny, what I would like to get is the list of the courses that are only taught by adjuncts, so that one, we can get them approved via Matt through Dr. Jane, and two, that we could notify the adjuncts, especially the ones that aren't here, and just say, here's an opportunity. If you'd like to get paid, this class that you teach and no one else teaches needs to be assessed. That, I don't know how the easiest effective way, like if everyone's just working, and if anyone knows of a class when you're going through it, and you're like, oh, you oversee an area, and you're like, oh, I know that only an adjunct teaches this. Somehow for me to get that, I have it all in dance, but I don't have any of the other ones. So that's where I need help. And I don't know if that should be done through you, Lenny, or through everyone as they're picking and choosing.
No, I think I appreciate that, Stanley. What I think we should do, and this is just my opinion here, but go through and then let's update the list that has the highlighted line items in the tabs after we're all done today. And then I'll compile a list of the ones, and either I'll do them myself or I'll reach out to those adjuncts that teach those classes. So actually, I'll reach out to them first, and then if they're unable to do it, then I'll gladly just pick up the slack on the rest of them. They're not that, I mean, it's really not a hard process.
Do we
And,
have
and
access to that list in yellow, or do just you guys have access to that list?
Everybody
No.
was emailed that list with our meeting reminder. It's the
Okay, I'll go
Excel
get it.
attachment, and
Okay.
there's a tab for each one of our disciplines, and you just go to each discipline you teach, find the highlighted ones, and get after it.
And can I just ask, Matt, are you okay with that, with the adjuncts? I just want to make sure. I was told that if they're not approved by the district, then they can't, that they have to be approved to get paid. They're going to get approved, right? I mean, is there any?
Yeah, no, they're
worry
gonna,
there?
everything I know is they're gonna get approved. So I just need a list of who teaches, who's gonna do what. And then we'll write up a little email and I'll send it to Jane and just say, hey, these are the classes that are taught by adjuncts only. Can we get approved for the SLO stuff? And it's just an email, so it should be good to go.
So for
Okay.
today, because we have adjuncts in the room right now that are going to probably be working on these, that's the challenge, Matt, is I guess where we need a little guidance. Like, so we're the adjuncts that are in the room that are going to be working on these are working in good faith that, I mean, they're doing the work before they get the approval to get paid. So just know that adjuncts, and this is not mandatory for you to do this. So any adjuncts in the room that just want to not do this
Or
can't
wait.
do this right now, we have to deal with that until we could confirm that you can get paid. So what I don't want to have is, I just don't want there to be anything weird happen as a result of this. So you adjuncts don't have to do this, just so you know that.
And we want you to get paid.
Yeah.
We're gonna work on that.
Hey, Len,
Yeah.
some of the body conditioning classes that have different kind of veins, like hiking, walking, aerobic, what's your suggestion on that? Like if we all go through and do that, it's going to be kind of different.
No, it should be the same because the student learning outcomes are the same. The methods that you evaluate them probably are going to be the same too. So, I mean, in terms of if you were going to do a body conditioning class on Bailey Field and you're going to do your hiking class, you're probably using the same exact methods of evaluation, even though they might be doing different things. You're going to observe, you're going to see them demonstrate, you're going to see them, you know what I mean? And so
It
it doesn't matter.
Thanks.
Yep.
Just so I have you, while you were doing, I know you probably can see, I've been typing here and I just went through, said physical demonstration, each student will physically complete the movement in the correct manner to show awareness and knowledge needed to show they understand the proper technique to safely complete the exercise assigned. 100% pass, each student will safely complete the physical demonstration in order to proceed to the next unit. Right, so that's my method and criteria. Yes, it was completed, and then assessment was appropriate to evaluate the task and goals that were set. Note, if any student showed a need for improvement, we will model and review technique, then reassess.
Can you copy and paste those in the chat?
You can. My box just says none.
What do you mean?
Like in the box where it says assessment follow-up details?
None.
None.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Dante,
Yes.
what's the best way for me to get in? I mean, I'm trying to get to this page.
Okay. Again,
Faculty portal.
yeah, go to the faculty portal. That might be the easiest because your server might boot you around wherever you're working. I went through Google and on Chrome, but if you go to faculty portal, I'm gonna copy and paste this really quick, and I'll actually just do that. One second. Okay, so let's go to faculty portal here. Get rid of all my screens. Faculty portal. Okay. Then go to slow assessment form. It's right up there. You see that there?
Yep.
And then click on that, and it brings you right to it. That's actually the quickest, easiest way to do it.
When I came to it, it just had the page that you're showing right now.
Okay.
I'm used to seeing a page where I can see like a list of all the classes, but I just start here.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So then you go through the different instruction, right? What mode you're in.
Okay.
You go to the, obviously, CAD in this case. And as you start to go through those drop downs, you'll run into the actual class. Let me get there. And then here, this is where we go CAD again. Oh, no, this is where the specific discipline, right? In this case, you'll go, so you teach all the K-fits, correct?
Yep.
So we'll go K-fit, and then you'll select the course. In this case, what would 8.1, 8.2,
Sure. Anything. Select a sign, that's fine.
and then you'll go down and you'll select the slow. In this case, we have 3. All right. And the best bet, obviously, is to stay in this one till you get all 3. That would be the easiest for us to do. And say basic nutritional concepts. For me, you could be instructional information, and then quiz, PowerPoint presentation, and et cetera, et cetera.
Perfect. Thank you, Dante.
All right, no problem. Okay. And then submit. And then what I'm going to do, and you see it brings, as soon as you submit, it brings you right back up to where you're at. And if you notice at the bottom here, it says last assessed fall 2021, October 15th. So no need to do that. If I had another slow, which cool, I could just go click on the next slow, and that would allow me just to knock those out. And that's a really great way to set this up. So hopefully that helps everybody. But in this case, I'm done doing that one. And I just go into the next one.
Dante or Stanley, question for you. Is there a spot, and maybe someone else knows the answer to this, but is there a spot either in curriculum or through the SLO assessment page here where it will tell you the last semester that class was taught, or if it has ever been taught?
I don't know.
Does anybody know where that information, if they've seen it anywhere? I never have. And
I was about to say, if you don't know where it is, that where it is.
I mean, I'm looking in SIS right now, you know, like touch football. I don't think we've ever offered that.
All right.
And it's not under course outlines,
What do you mean?
Lenny? Let me look real quick. I just thought I might, I'm gonna try.
Course outlines. Oh, I see what you mean. That actually, it might be there. That's a good call. Let me look.
Tara, you have a question?
Sorry, I had my hand raised and then I got kicked off.
Oh.
So I was just checking my classes. Looks like I assessed most of the SLOs for my classes in 2019, April. So what's the cycle again for SLOs? Is it every 5 years or?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 6 years is the
6 years? Okay. So if it was assessed in 19, then spring 19, then it's okay and just focus on the ones that haven't been assessed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna get rolling on this as well. You want me to keep my screen up or stop share? I mean, I'm not sure if anybody even needs my screen up. I think it may be better to share maybe the Excel sheet just in case someone wants to ask us about the next, or any thoughts on that. Otherwise, I'll stop sharing.
I'm good. I don't know. it makes it more confusing when we have the share screen on for me to manipulate my desktop. But
Maybe stop sharing, Dante, see if that helps everyone. And people can ask if they need to see a demonstration.
yeah, it doesn't say in the course outline either. I just looked at the one I'm reviewing,
Ew.
and I don't want to assess outcomes that have never been.
Uh-huh.
I say if in doubt, then
Just gonna leave it.
yeah. Okay.
Ironically, the class that I just did was one of the classes that I needed to review the curriculum for as well. And I completed the curriculum review, but I don't think the class has ever been offered.
All right, right. Crystal, I see a question here. Are the slows we are doing different than the curriculum class?
That's different.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
And Lenny, that list she's talking about is the stuff we do with updating books and all that, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So like this class, touch football, was written in like 1982, but I don't think we've ever offered it since I've been here since 2000.
It still would be really cool if we could have flag football.
Well, that's why I don't want to discontinue it, because now with the turf, you could actually have a class like that, like a,
Neat.
glorified recess.
Hey, Dante, how soon does that email come back?
It's a good question. I saw it this morning. I did it last night at about 11 o'clock at night. So
Okay. So it's not instant then. Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure.
I got mine right away. Is that what you're
Right.
asking, Marty?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
I got mine within 2 seconds.
I just went and checked.
I'll check mine right now.
Did you refresh, Marty, maybe?
I submit it and then, okay.
Yep. I got mine immediately also.
I'll do that.
Yep.
Yep, I got mine immediately. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, fall 2021. That's the assessment period. So again, I think we're all kind of like, well, if we all do fall 21, does that look bad? We don't worry. We can't. I think the fact that we're all engaged in this and working through this is a huge positive. So I don't think they care if, hey, we're right before the evaluation, they all jumped on and jumped 60%. Well, yeah, we got the job done, right? So. Question, Lenny, I can see you and you're still working on your slows right now, right?
Yeah.
So while you're doing that, does your chat pop up if there's a question?
Yeah.
Because as soon as I go to like do my slow, I click on to do it. I lose my, do you lose your like?
No, I go from full screen to like partial screen with my Zoom, and I make that about half the screen, and my chat, still shows up.
But as soon as I go to click and start doing the assessment, my Zoom goes away.
You have to make the assessment form half the size too, shrink that.
Okay, let's see. And you can still type on it? Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you. Yep. Okay. All right.
It was in clutter. I got it.
Yeah, I got rid of my clutter a long time ago because everything I was getting, 50% was going to clutter. So I disabled that.
Oh man, the best thing about clutter for me is that DL staff all goes to clutter.
Oh, now, okay, so you can,
You can filter it how you want it.
just to reiterate, and I know Wags has mentioned this earlier, is majority of our assessments for in K-Fit, whether you're teaching powerlifting, 8.1, 8.2, they're going to be the same, right? When it comes to evaluating. So the powerlifting is the same proper technique and safety in the powerlifting movements. So where the other one was saying weight training exercises. So for this one, it's the same exact assessment. Obviously, if that's what you're doing. So in this case, that's what I do. So it's the same answer. So don't feel like you have to answer each one totally different in order for it to be authentic. Just as a sidebar also, I changed the second, I said show twice in the physical demonstration one in the chat. I changed that second show, they understand, to demonstrate. Just a note.
Hey, Len, what number is boxing?
I think it's 4.0, 4.1, 4.2.
Got it.
Did you get that? You get that, Marty?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that, Marty. I answered. I was just on mute.
No, I wasn't sure if I was on mute either. I was trying to find my screen. Thanks.
I was like, why did Dante just answer that? I already answered that question.
I thought I caught you napping there. Sorry.
No, I was deep in an SLO assessment.
Also on the tabs on the Excel, none of them are in order. Dante and I could
know.
not figure out why it's that way. That's how it came to us. But there's no, it goes 3.1 to 3.7 to 3.2 to 3.3. I mean, it's all over the place.
Believe me, my OCD mind spotted that right away.
Me too, Lenny, me too.
I was like, this is all confusing. Craig, are you still in there?
Okay. Yeah, Len, he's on the phone with me.
Okay. I was just looking, pickleball's one of them that we could knock out like 9 of them for those 3 classes really quick. On K individual 79.1, 2, and 3. Because I think you and Damon are the only ones that have taught that, I think.
Lenny, can you repeat those numbers?
K individual 79.1, 0.2, and 0.3.
Hey, Donna, to answer your question, when you go to C-SLO, it should drop down all the SLOs. So some courses only have one, some have two, some have three, some have four, some have six. So you do one at a time. And we're trying to get the courses done as opposed to each SLO. So if you're going to do one SLO in a given course and it has more than one SLO, it'd be awesome if you could do all of them in that course. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
So, not really. So I have to do the form for each one of those choices?
Yes. Yep,
Okay.
for each SLO in a given course. And by the way, that's especially as it applies to adjuncts. I guess this just came up this month and with the district about they're really being specific about that for adjuncts getting paid. You have to do all the SLOs in a given course as opposed to one SLO in a given course. Does that make sense, Donna?
I think so. So the form that I'm looking at, I have to do it for each SLO. So there could be 4 different forms for one class.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm doing it right and not wasting time.
Yeah. Yeah. It should, when you first click that button in terms of the drop down, it should immediately show you, like if let's say someone didn't know how many SLOs are in a given course, as soon as you drop it down, it's gonna, if there's 4, then there'll be 4 things when you hit that button, and then you just pick the first one, second, third, fourth, 4 different times.
Okay. I think I got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
Sure.
Dante, on the open, we have some classes that we created for the open gym that we never got to launch because of COVID. So they're new classes, never been offered, and they're needing SLOs assessments. So what do you recommend on that?
Well, if they've never been offered, and they were only created a couple years ago, they shouldn't fall into that cycle of 6 years.
Okay. Oh, okay, cool. So we're good on those. Okay, great.
Just as a note, also, just a little, I would copy and paste maybe as you do these different ones and have a Word doc next that you can copy and paste the things that you're doing. So you have kind of, because I'm not sure if anybody's done this, I typed a whole new one, clicked submit, and then I needed to do this. And I'm like, oh man, you can't go back and get it. So, I had to retype it, the same exact thing. And, obviously every time you'll say it probably a little different, which is fine, but I just a little advice.
That's super helpful, Dante. I had the exact same experience. And then the second time I did it, I copied and pasted it. Super helpful.
Maybe 2.
Hey, Len, I only see 4.1. 4.2 doesn't seem to be on here anywhere.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know why that wouldn't be on there. You mean on the Excel thing or in the drop-down box? Are you talking about on the
It's
Excel
on the
sheet?
Excel. It's on the Excel. I just looked at it.
Hey, Lenny, Craig's saying that he hasn't actually taught the pickleball yet, and I don't know that anybody has. Does he still have to evaluate it?
Well, I don't know. How could he evaluate a class that hasn't been offered yet? I
Right,
would say
so-
no to that. I would say
Okay.
no to that.
Because it was offered, but I think he dropped it.
Yeah, then that would be a no. I wouldn't do it. I thought it actually went a whole semester. Maybe it's Damon then. I thought pickleball has made it at least once or twice.
I'm
Hey,
not sure
Dante,
that it
I
has
only,
yet.
sorry, Lacey. Dante, I only see 4.1. Marty was asking, I don't see 4.2
Oh, really?
myself.
Huh.
Where do you see it?
Yeah, let me check.
I don't see it.
K-Fit, it's K-Combatives 4.1 if that's what he's looking for boxing.
Oh, that's why,
Yeah.
Marty.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's on line 57 to 66. Demonstrate, understand boxing rules and concepts, 4.1. 4.2, apply intermediate boxing techniques.
Yeah, and I just looked in the SLO assessment drop down and K-Combatives 4.2 is in there.
Thank you. Anybody else having flashbacks to like SAT testing?
If it doesn't have the blue writing at the bottom of the blank assessment form for a class, does that mean it's already been assessed?
You should be able to just scroll up and see at the top, it'll say last assessed, that little in blue. Did you see that?
Yeah, if it doesn't have that, because I did the bar ones and it did, but then I started doing the other classes that I teach and it doesn't have the blue line. So does that mean that someone already assessed it?
Crystal, what class is it?
Like, well, the Kines 300 class, the student athlete success class that I teach, and then the intro to weight training, and are those all like, did someone already do those if it doesn't say when it last?
You
It
have
should
to
still-
select
should
an
still
SLO
say.
before it'll say that.
What'd you say, Lacey?
You have to select an SLO and then it'll tell you when that
Oh.
SLO was selected.
Got it.
Yep.
Just okay.
Hey, Lacey.
Because I did the Kines 300 and then did the first one, and then it says this SLO has not been assessed.
Yeah, so you can go get it.
Okay. Even if this is our first semester doing this Kines 300,
Say it again.
if this is our first semester of doing Kines 300, I can still assess it even though we're like mid-semester.
Yeah, you've
Okay.
probably already given some assessments, so you can go from there. Yeah,
Okay.
you know, if it's appropriate. If it's not, then don't. Like if
Okay.
like if it's asking a slow that you haven't gotten to yet, or
Okay. Thank you.
that one, if you know what you're gonna use for that, you just don't. You wouldn't have. You have the method. You have the criteria.
Right.
And it just, you wouldn't be able to really say yes or no, right? Because
Yeah.
the outcome, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Stanley, do you remember when Holcomb did he mention like the evaluation, like how quickly they update stuff? It'd be interesting to curious on.
Yeah, I think it's about a week. Because you and I did that one together like 3-4 weeks ago, and then it came up showing it was done.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm gonna pull it up right now and see.
Everybody, we've got about 15 minutes left of our scheduled meeting, and hopefully at this point, you guys have an idea of how to do this, and maybe take a couple more minutes, and then we'll get back together here in 5 minutes and kind of wrap things up. But then I think the goal would be that now that we all know how to do this, we could just go in there and knock out whichever ones we haven't done. So I see some people having to leave for classes. Thanks guys for the work today. Maybe Dante or Stanley, if you guys could give us an update of like how many we actually did in a day, it'd be nice to be able to report that back out with the meeting minutes, like great job CAD, we did this many, and then that might give you guys, might give Matt some info that he could report at his meetings with the deans and with all this great stuff of us waving the flag for CAD, maybe we could get someone to clean the classrooms so we don't all catch COVID and die.
Yeah, I'll keep, I was just looking, so right now the page says for the college, it was last updated yesterday. So it looks like it's pretty frequent. And so what I'll do is I'll just keep checking every day to see when hours that we did today are finished, and I'll send that report with Dante.
That would be great. So let's everybody take a few more minutes, and then at 9:20 we'll all come back together, and then we'll wrap it up.
Hey, Wags, real quick, you said you knocked those athletes out. Was there any, because I did the K-fits. Is there any that I teach? No, good.
I used the expert clause and exercised my authority on
T. Authority.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, everybody, it is 9:20. And as I mentioned, the training goes for another 10 minutes, but I wanted to leave some time at the end here to see if there was any comments, questions, advice as we move forward with this stuff. And to see if anybody has any future agenda items. We also didn't get to our committee reports. And so I thought we had a couple minutes here. We could just finish up with a couple of announcements from our committee reports, and was hoping that we could get an AFA. Is there anything going on in AFA that we need to know about at the moment?
Yes, thank you. I have
All
4
right.
things. Number one, on my list. Number one is we have an open seat. Well, there's a couple open seats. One is an open seat for an adjunct counselor. The nominations have already been submitted and closed last week. We have 5 people running, which is really great. And the adjuncts decided to have that go out for a vote instead of an appointment. And so it will probably go out next week. Only the adjunct electorate is allowed to vote. So contract faculty will not be voting on this, but there's 5 people. And I hope you will, for adjuncts, I hope you will please consider voting. Your vote counts, and that would be wonderful. And that's for the fall 2021, spring 2022 term. The second open seat is a contract faculty seat that is for 1 semester only for the spring 2022. And if you are interested, statements of interest are due on October 25th. You did get an email about that. The third thing is if you did any extra work for remote instruction for this year, fall 2021, the side letter went out at the beginning, and there is compensation available for everyone. That has gone out at least 2 times over the last month, an email. The deadline is October 31st. So you can get compensated for any transition work you did. And then the last thing is AFA is doing a lot of work on DEI. And we are just kind of starting the process of what it's all going to look like. And we're just starting small, and we're going to continue from there. So we have 2 members of our council, the executive council, Brenda Flies with Hawks and Laura LaRouque, are going to be doing some outreach specifically to faculty of color, just to get them knowing the great work that the union does to support them and all the equity work that the union does, and trying to get them to, if they're not members, to join and ultimately attend our meetings and, you know, maybe run for positions. So that's how we're starting out small, and we're excited about it. Those are my 4 announcements. Thank you, Lenny.
I have one question about announcement number 3.
So
Which
one was it?
I'm
Oh,
just
the compensation.
Okay, I have a terrible memory. So what happens if you fill out that form twice, or is there any way to know you've already filled it out? I think I've filled it out 3 times.
Yeah, you should get an email back. I think it comes from Josh Adams. Okay. And so I filled mine out, and I got immediate email, like a, you know, automatic reply almost, that your submission has been accepted, and not accepted, but, you know, received. So you should get it right away. Okay. But it goes to Josh Adams when you send it, so you should get something.
We have Dante, then Tara.
That is only for if it's in a class you have not previously done that for, correct?
No.
Same class.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so I have the email up now. If you all want me to send it to you, just if like you lost it or whatever, there's so many emails coming out. But all faculty members who transitioned courses and allied services, of course, for fall 21 may claim hours for compensation. Faculty members performing department chair duties may claim additional hours. So if you transitioned a course, it doesn't matter if it's new, and you can get it for each section number up to, I think it's, for contract faculty, I think it's 35 hours. 35.
So even if you got paid for that class, you can get paid again.
You mean paid last semester?
Yeah.
Yep. I know, Monica's like, what? I will send it out. Donna, does anyone else want me to send it out? Oh, I'll just send it out. Yeah, I'll send it out. I got it right here.
Is that if you converted it to be online or if you converted it to be back on campus or both?
Both.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Submit.
Thank you.
Okay, other reports. Let's see here. Academic Senate, do we have anything to report out?
Yeah, there's what was it? Tara can correct me with whatever I missed, but we're trying to get through the faculty hiring policy and obviously trying to keep EDIA at the forefront. It's slow going, so it's a little, to me, it's a little bit frustrating, but we're trying to do it right, and so it takes a long time. But if you ever have any questions about that, let Tara and I know. The hot topic right now is every meeting there's students from mainly from SGA, but in general, there's a lot of students speaking out on behalf of themselves as students, because right now it's not mandatory for students to be on hiring committees, and they're really advocating for that. Their arguments are like, you know, we're the customers, we know best, and then on the, without us, you don't have business, right? Or you don't have a job. And also that they keep touting that they've done trainings, they're professional, they've had a history of being on hiring committees with with the right amount of professionalism. And Delachey has said, you guys have had 104 years of doing this without us, and your track record isn't very good at hiring diverse faculty. So those are kind of some of the arguments from the student side. And then in the past, we haven't gotten to it yet, but the students keep coming. We're not there yet to that section to review, but they keep coming in hot every open forum. But we probably won't get to that for a couple more meetings, but regardless, they keep, reminding us. And they put together a resolution kind of demanding, that we consider this or do it. And then on the other side, when we last visited this, I think in spring 2019, a lot of people were worried about confidentiality of adjuncts and of faculty information and things like that. But there are, students on management hiring committees all the time and things like that. So, people are arguing, is there a way to not identify the information and to keep it really confidential and things like that. So if you have any opinions about that anonymously, or if you want to put your name on it, you could let Tara or I know. And then they're just trying to get through other stuff like policies and procedures for accreditation and things like that. And then the last thing is when I go out, which if anyone cares, is I have to work from home starting 10:25, and then whenever he's supposed to come like 11:13, so who knows. But so I'll be working, but working from home, and then whenever he comes, I'm sure I'll tell Matt so that he can tell people, or Josh can handle it, and he'll let you know. But the Senate, regarding a Senate report, is my Senate seat will be vacant, and then the vice president seat will be vacant. So they're working on filling the vice president seat, but Area 10 is health sciences and CAD. So if there's any full-time contract faculty that want to put their name in for that, Tara and I really need somebody to step in and kind of sub from like mid-November until I think it's like the beginning of, I don't know, end of February, I think, end of March. So you would just sub and go to the meetings twice a semester. It's hard if you're a coach because the meetings are at 3:15 to 5. But if anybody's interested, or anybody in health sciences that's interested, let us know. But that's it for the, I think Tara's at it for Academic Senate.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
All right, thank you, Monica. How about this is kind of a good segue into our EDI committee, since we talked about that a little bit. But Tara, could you give us a little update, or Monica?
Yeah, last time we met, we worked on, actually met with Jeremy Smotherman about doing a survey for our department that could give us information on how well we're doing by being inclusive and addressing the needs of our students. And he was open to it. He gave some suggestions. Our last meeting, we sort of took some sample surveys that were sent to us and synthesize the information and kind of put together the questions. And I'm in the process of cleaning that up, and I'm going to send it back to Jeremy Smotherman, and he kind of does his magic with it so that it'll come from his office. And that's pretty much what we've been working on. We do want to do a student panel, but we thought the survey would come first. And then once we have that, we can reach a broad sample of students. We could also bring in a panel of students to come to not just the DEI committee, but then also to one of our department meetings to chat about that. And then the other piece was that we did the LGBTQ training back in session back in April or May, and then we just didn't have time to finish everything that was on the agenda for that. So we've asked them to come back at another meeting this semester, and they have us tentatively scheduled in for November department meeting, but we have to make sure confirm that.
All right, thank you, Tara. Okay, guys, the other committee report that we have, Matt covered in his dean's report, which is our staffing committee. And am I missing any committees, you guys, any standing committees that we have right now that need to report out? All right. Well, you guys, we're at 9:31, and I think we got a ton of assessments done today.
Can you hear me, Coach?
What's that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up, Dave?
Hey, I just wanna get this out. That I just want to say to you guys that I won't be finishing out my semester. I got another week to go. I've already told Lenny, but I know you guys, many of you probably don't even know who I am, but I teach step aerobics and intermediate aerobics, and I've been around since about 2015. And I just wanted to tell you guys that, you know, I know we don't see each other across paths, but, you know, I still feel like I'm in the family, so to speak. And I just want to say how much I appreciate being a part of the team, part of the KAD team. And I just want to say that I know the direction you guys are moving in. I was so excited, we are moving in. I was so excited about, you know, the diversity and how we're trying to reach out to students and come together and unify, especially during this hard time. But I want to say, unfortunately, I won't be finishing the semester with you guys. I came across, they found some mass on my kidney, and I'll be having surgery next Friday, where I'll be getting my kidney removed. I will be back. I will be, well, I'm praying I come back. I'll be back, but I'm just praying that I'll be accepted back. I don't know how far you guys will move on. But my next week is last week. And I just want to say, because I do feel that, you know, I am a part of the family here, and I love and appreciate teaching so much. And I love, you know, you guys, and I say hi to the various people that I see across the path. But I just want to tell you guys, keep doing what you're doing, man. And I'm gonna help out and do whatever I can until I do leave. And you guys continue to kick butt, man. We trying to. I just love how you guys are, how the team, how you're a unified team, and how you help and support and pick up one another. And we trying to do that across the whole JC family. So I appreciate you guys, man. And I just wanted to say that before we get out of here. I don't want to get sentimental. I get all choked up. But.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. I wish you well with your surgery, and we can't wait for you to come back.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Good luck, Dave.
Good luck, Dave. Bye, Dave.
Yeah.
We love you, Dave.
Appreciate you, man. And appreciate all of you guys. You know, so many times we hear disgruntled things, you know, and it's Dave, really appreciate the positive message you just sent to all of us, man. That's pretty awesome. And I think No, I just appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to you getting back here and getting back to your stuff. And I know your students are going to miss the heck out of you. So get back here as soon as you can, bud. And we got that door's open. Folks, is there anything else that we're missing here before we say goodbye until next time? Okay. I'm going to send out meeting notes also with the link to the recording and also an update on the assessments we were able to get done today. Thanks you guys again for just being a great audience and being respectful of each other and all the work we got done today. So have a great day and great weekend, and we'll see you all soon. Go Bear Cubs.